Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are watching from. This is the Raw Mind Talk. My name is Gardner, and in this talk, what we do, we believe that humans live clues. So we bring different guests and we let them tell their story. And my role or my responsibility is to extract success principles that they have used to become better. And your responsibility out there watching is to listen and pick some of the principles and use them in your life to better up yourself and those around you. So today I'm very excited to bring somebody in the studio. She's not just a leader, she's an excellent performer. If you're out there and you thought that leaders are those that are mediocres, you got this wrong. Why? Because I have brought you a very intelligent young girl who has grown into the ladders of leadership. And her name is AMIYA Rihanna ADUBANGO. She is the current guild president of Vienna College. And behind the scenes, she told me something very important. I asked her one thing. What crazy thing have you done in your life? Don't go away. You'll be very, very much surprised about the thing she calls crazy is the thing that has made her number one at Vienna, number one in Uganda, number one in East Africa, number one in the sub-Saharan region. And we shall discuss and you will get to know more about this as we push on. So, Rihanna, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gardner, for having me. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I hope that everyone out there may pick a leaf or two from my experience.
Absolutely, from experience. So, tell me, who's Rihanna? Who's AMIYA? Who's ADUBANGO? Who are you?
Rihanna AMIYA ADUBANGO is an 18-year-old student at Vienna College, Namugongo. One who cares for others, one who is selfless, and one who works to inspire the upcoming generation and her peers in everything that she does by upholding strong moral values and discipline. One who's out here to learn the most that I can in everything that I do. I make sure that as I grow, I learn a lot of skills and a lot of things that will help me become a better person in future. There are so many things that change drastically in a teenager's lives. Like, for example, when I was 14, I wasn't a leader, but I'm 18 and I'm a leader now, and I have so many skills that I've gained from it.
And that is why I want
Yeah.
us, that's what we're going to roll into. At 14, you aren't a leader. At 18, you are a leader. We want to get to know that transition. How did it happen? So tell me more about your childhood life. Like, were you a leader? Were you made a leader? Did you go for classes to become a leader? How did it start before you became even the guild president of Vienna College? Tell me, give me some background so that somebody out there who's listening in can have a gist and a context from where you are coming from and where you're heading to.
So deeper into my background, for primary, I was in a school called Kampala Junior Academy.
Okay.
Kampala Junior Academy, I think, is or was at the time one of the best schools you could take your child for that sort of holistic development, because it made me such a multi-talented person. I used to engage in so many sports, and academics wise, I think I was even better than I am now. I was 100% sharp. And yeah, it taught me a lot of skills to boost my creativity, my social skills, everything that made me who I am today. And on the side of leadership, interestingly, when I was around 9 years old, I was in about P3. I did stand for leadership. I was something called a writer's prefect. And by the time, I think I just didn't really know what I was doing, but I happened to gain the experience of being a leader from a young age. And unfortunately, for the rest of my years there, I didn't stand for leadership again. I think I was intimidated by it, or I just didn't see the value of it anymore. But
Wait, before being intimidated and seeing the value of it anymore, when you stood for the writers prefect in primary 3, that you were 9 years old, did you go through?
I did go through, and it was very difficult.
How
at
many
that
people
time.
had contested for that
We were
position at
about
that time?
5. and they were all in P6 and P5, and I was just in P3. So it was very intimidating, and I thought I wouldn't make it, but I did. And I think because people knew me as someone all-rounded and academically inclined, they were like, yeah, we can trust her with this. So it was something that I got. And I was really intimidated by that whole process of elections, it being something I was experiencing for the first time at the age of 9 years old with no experience whatsoever. So I think because of that, I got too intimidated to ever try
again
to stand for it in primary again.
But you had gone through. Now, you were intimidated, yes. It was your first time. You're coming out to contest as a writer's prefect. Now, I want you to tell me, how did that idea come? Did you call your parents? Did you tell your parents? Did you tell your friends? Like, where did the idea come from? Like, besides, they may put up these open spaces, but people may never stand up to come and, how did you do it?
Being an all-rounded person, I think by the time I was 9 years old, I had been engaging in so many different activities, clubs, and academics-wise, I was still okay. So P3 was the first year where a student was allowed to run for any post they wanted, because below P3 they looked at us as quite young, so they would only leave you, like they would limit to about 5 clubs specified for children that you can run for. But in P3 it was open to all, and you could run for whatever you wanted. So at that point is when I decided to go for writers, and I don't know how, but since childhood I've always had a passion for writing, reading, literature, and it's something that I still pursue up to now. So at that age, I picked specifically writer's prefect out of my love for writing. And like, despite the whole process being intimidating, till this day, it's still something that I'm grateful for. And yeah, it's literally like the foundation for my life in the world of leadership. Yeah.
So did you tell your parents?
Yeah, I
How
did.
did they receive the message? Were they in for it, or they're like, you know what, we take you to school to study, not to contest to become a prefect? Many parents say that.
Yeah, a lot of parents say that. But at that time, my parents were really supportive. My parents would support me in everything I did, because it was like, it was my work, so they'd give me a bit of freedom to do what I wanted. In the end, as long as it's benefiting me as an individual. And of course, leadership would be adding skills, because it's interesting to have a 9-year-old leader in the house. Yeah, I think it would give them something to be proud of. So, of course, by then, they're really supportive of me and everything I was doing. So, yeah.
I don't remember myself at 9 years what I was doing. Was I even into leadership? Did I even know what leadership was? Absolutely. I don't remember, and I don't want to go back that lane because I don't know. That's the truth. But one thing I'm picking from you is that you knew what you wanted. You had the love for writing. You may be out there and you have a love for doing something. And that is the starting point. Now, once you discover the thing that you love most, it's most importantly for you to give yourself an opportunity to go and try it out. And for her, she did not stop there. She went and told parents, and the parents were in. They gave her the space, they gave her the encouragement, and they asked her to please go on. If you're a parent out there and your child comes to you and they have something they love, as parents, our responsibility is to push, help, let them sprout to become what they really want to do. So, yes, you tell your parents, you're intimidated, you're 5 people contesting. Was money involved?
No.
Were sweets involved? Grab? Nothing, just words, information. Yeah. Tell us, how did you do that?
As I told you, I've always had this perception. People perceive me as someone like academically there.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is something that lets people trust you. When you gain people's trust, then elections isn't really something hard to do, because they already know who you are and they know you for the best possible reason ever. Being academically smart means that they can trust you to help them work their way through certain issues. They can trust you not to continuously make the wrong decisions. Like, the ability to make well-calculated decisions because of how smart you are. Yes. These are things that people trust you with. So it gives you an upper hand on comparison to the other candidates. So I won't even have to do much. I'll just have to be myself.
Yes.
And that's how to gain people's votes. Yeah.
Vieana says two things. One, you need to trust in yourself and let people trust you. And as she brings it out, it reminds me of Steve Covey's book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that book, he talks about trust. And for him, he says people don't leave organizations because of poor managers. They leave organizations because they have failed to trust their leaders. And this is what she used. She was trustworthy with the people around her, and then they saw that responsibility in her. And we know leadership is all about influence, as John C. Maxwell says. And for them to give her the position, they believed that they would trust her to lead the agenda. Remember, at 9 years in primary three, she was already taking on responsibilities. Now you are elected, you become the writer's prefect. Then what did you do? What thing do you remember that you did during your tenure of office then?
During my tenure of
Yeah.
office, despite there being so many prefects, I remember just being out there and ready to help, let's say, the teachers in anything that they needed help with, or in case a lot of people didn't know what it was to
Yeah.
be a writer's prefect, but like for those that had the same interests in writing and everything, it was up to you to, engage them in conversations to keep their interest in writing going, stimulate their minds for those of them that had similar interests
Yeah.
with me. Yeah. And that's something that I remember doing. And yeah, I was just really grateful for the experience at the end of my tenure.
How long was your tenure?
Just 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
So from there, remember we are still at Kampala Junior Academy, and
Mhm.
you're in primary three, 9 years old, writer's prefect. After your tenure, did you take on other responsibilities, or you just had to dive into books and clear yourself to go out and find something else in another school?
Interestingly, despite not engaging in the world of leadership in KJA, I was still um, taking part in so many clubs. I used to play football, and there was music, dance, and drama, arts and crafts. There are so many clubs I remember refocusing my energy on. Your level of discipline determines how well you succeed in every aspect of your life. So when I'm in class, it's up to me to pay the most attention I can. It's up to me to do my homework on time. This is from a 9-year-old's perspective. I used to do everything on time. My parents taught me how to prioritize the right things, because even them, every time they'd see me dive off or do something lousy, they'd be down to correct my mistakes from such a young age. So as I grew, I ended up growing as a disciplined person, and I was able to prioritize the right things, my academics, make sure I've understood this and that. If I'm confused, I ask. My parents were always down to help you if you didn't know a number in your homework or something. So I feel like having the right role models, aka your parents, having the right role models is such a vital aspect of how well your life turns out when it comes to balancing your academics and your leadership, because you have to make sure that leadership doesn't affect how well you're grasping what you're learning in class, everything you do. You just have to be well aware of your surroundings and what you're doing. And as I said, you have to be highly disciplined, because that's the key to success.
Now, Rihanna has given us the key to success. There are two aspects she talks about: discipline and having a role model. Discipline, if you go and read, I think, the late Dr. Miles Monroe's book, I think, on leadership, he says that actually discipline is not knowing what to do. No. For him, he looked at it in another way. Discipline is knowing what not to do. That means you keep in line anything that is not in tandem with what you want to do, achieve in life. You don't look there. It doesn't take your time. And for her, she realized that regardless of being a leader and being in school, because the first thing they took her to school, and the first reason they take you to school is to get education, was to balance the two. And balancing comes with discipline, knowing what not to do. And she has said she was involved in so many activities: football, MDD, blah, blah, blah. That is discipline. She knew exactly where to be and what not to do at a certain time. The second she talks about is mentorship. If you want to grow in your leadership, you need to have mentors. Mentors that you can look out to, mentors that are able to polish, mentors that are able to see that value, that skill, that potential, that gift that you have, so that they can be able to polish. And for her, her mentors were again her parents. I think I would want to meet your parents one day and have a discussion, hopefully.
Yeah.
But you have the blueprint now: discipline and mentorship. Now that you move, you finished your tenure, you go on your books. So what happened next?
I did complete primary from KJA,
Yeah.
and sadly, in my last year, which was P7, at the beginning we got cut short by COVID-19.
Oh, that's 2020.
Yes,
Yeah.
in March of 2020, that term was cut short by COVID-19. So after that, I actually did stay home for a really long time. I think 1 year, and we actually know we returned in October.
Yeah.
October of 2020, as only candidates. The rest of the school was not there, and it was very different, with all the social distance and everything that we were ought to do. And now, COVID, I can say COVID brought a change to my reality. In the past, if I was an all-rounded person, everything that I was doing, leadership, sports, it all came to an end, sadly. So now this is a very different part of life that I never expected I would end up in. And it's actually something that I took a long time to realize and accept, yeah. Because I grew up, and before you know it, all the sports I used to do, I don't do them anymore. All the instruments I used to play, I forgot how to play them. All the clubs I was in, I don't participate in them anymore. Like, it brought such a abrupt change to my lifestyle that took me a long time to accept. And now, let's say, even sort of academics wise, I started to fall off. And let's say when I completed my POE, the results I got weren't exactly what I wanted. Like, it was quite off, very off for someone who was top of the class. Let's say if I was used to getting aggregate 4, in my final I got 8. It was very unusual because I never got 8 in my life. I think this was like the second time. It was very unusual and very bad. So
you're an A student.
Exactly. So to see that change in lifestyle, I think, is what motivated me to become a better person in high school. Because resilience is something that I'm very grateful for at this age, because I wouldn't get to the point where I was at if I hadn't fallen a number of times. And this specific time, post-COVID, is, I think, when I feel the most in
with
my
8.
life.
Hi, you're out there. 8 is good for you.
Exactly.
And she's saying it wasn't good for her.
So it wasn't impressive at all. Yeah. So at the back of my head, I would always keep that in mind, that like, I may have stumbled then, but you have second chances in life. It's up to you to see that and calculate how well you're going to attack that second chance so that you make the most out of it. So now, my IGCSEs, because of my post-COVID experience and falling off academically, I feel like I had lost my self-confidence, especially in my academics, in everything. When I joined Vienna.
No, before you joined Vienna, we are still at, now, after COVID, now you're sitting your, how is it called?
PLE,
primary living. Now, for you, during COVID, what did you do? Because every one of us, from where you are and where I was that time, we were all zonked, for lack of a better word. It had never happened. We didn't know what was going to happen. Some of us thought it's going to be for 1 day, 2 days, until the president would come back and say, you know what, this day we have added. So for you, during that time, what were you doing? Were you studying? Were you learning? Were you still depressed and saying, I'm supposed to be doing my PLE, but, what happened?
So during COVID, the school would offer online program to keep us
engaged,
learning. Yeah. And I feel like it still wasn't enough, because it was such an abrupt change of environment. I still feel like it wouldn't be as effective as anyone would want it to be, but it's definitely okay to acknowledge their effort. But for children, I feel like, especially in such a vital year like primary 7, you need to be in school and you need to be using the most effective learning methods at that time. So online wouldn't necessarily be the best thing ever. and it's what, unfortunately, it's all that we had.
Yeah.
So we just had to go with it. So there was that, and there was a lot of distractions. I feel like it was like at the age of 13, 14. This is like the first years that kids are like exposed to social media, be it TikTok and what. So there was that
Exposure and transition.
exactly, that exposure to social media that kept us hooked. At least personally, it kept me hooked for some time. And this is something that it took me such a long time to realize and kind of jump out of. But in that age, it was the first exposure I had to actual social media. So it kept me a bit hooked, and this is like diverting me off my line of academics. So you can get to see why, let's say, I may have underperformed in the final. So these are things that I just came to accept afterwards, after they had happened. But like, yeah, so this was my whole COVID experience. And for that experience, it wasn't necessarily the most positive, but it's something that helped me change my mindset on everything around me, and like my surrounding, and how positive I can make it, how well I'm using my social media, what I'm using it for, how diverted it keeps me off track or on track, like how well do I utilize social media. That's something that it taught me. So I'm at least grateful for the experience, because I know that it's something that I won't let happen again. Yeah. So after all this is now when I joined Vienna.
Yes. Before we go for a short break, we'll come back in our second episode, and Rihanna will be taking us through how she received the results, PLE, then how she transited to Vienna, why of all schools did the parents choose Vienna, or why did she choose Vienna? And before we jump into that, one thing I've gotten from her discussion is that at times circumstances come to us for us to reboot, rechange, retool our whole life system, or all life aspects. We know COVID, it came in, I don't know where you were, but everyone worldwide was caught off guard. And for her, that's the time she realized that actually she was spending more time on other things, let me call them social media, and this affected her performance. And to her, she was an A student. But then she'll come back and tell us how many she got, why, based on the small explanation she has given us, and then the transition to Vienna. Remember, we are with Reina, yes, she's the current guild president of Vienna College. See you, don't turn away.